Back to the local news, we're going to have a bit of sport with Katherine.
Enfield town manager Steve Newing was left frustrated on Saturday as the Towners Ryman Premier match against Harrow Borough was postponed. A combination of heavy rain and damage caused by foxes left the QE2 stadium pitch unplayable. Newing said, "It is frustrating because we would always prefer matches to be on a Saturday rather than a Tuesday because players can't always play in the midweek matches. There is a positive, though, because it means the likes of James Elms and Michael Bardell will miss fewer matches due to injury. Hopefully they will be back for the Dulwich game, which would be a boost for us." Enfield, who took on Wingate and Finchley last night, are not in action this weekend as their trip to Hampton and Richmond has been postponed due to the Beavers' involvement in the FA Trophy. Should results go against the Towners on Saturday, they could slip to second bottom of the table. Newing admitted his side have not accumulated as many points as he would have hoped at this stage of the campaign, but added Enfield have faced a difficult fixture list. He also said, "We have played a third of the season now and we haven't got as many points as we would have liked, but we have played 12 of the top 13 sides. So it hasn't been easy and we will need to take points off the sides around us when they take place. But if we can get a couple of wins, strengthen the squad a little and get the injured players back, then I'm sure the confidence will be boosted."
A strong run from Robert Quantrell helped him claim first place at the Grovens Parkrun 5K on Saturday. A total of 49 runners tackled the distance, but it was Quantrell who crossed the line first, clocking in at 18.27. Jason Maloney was the second man home, while Sal Ozakin ended with a time of 19.26 for third. The first woman across the line was Dunia Susi in 22.38, while Vanessa Goodwin Matthews and Jan Hickman rounded off the top three.
Saracens held off a stirring fight back from Wasps to begin their LV Cup campaign in style, with a bonus point 24-21 victory at Adams Park on Friday night. The visitors looked to be heading for a comprehensive triumph when tries from Ben Ransom, Nick Tompkins, Richard Barrington and Jack Wilson, coupled with two conversions from Ben Spencer, saw them open up a 24-7 lead heading into the final quarter. But Wasps, who had opened the scoring through a converted Matt Everard try, came storming back, with Neil Cochrane and Ben Jacobs touching down to reduce their deficit to just 3 points. This set up a dramatic finish, and the hosts thought that they had snatched victory at the death when Tom Howe raced down the wing, but he was thwarted by a brilliant last-gasp covering tackle from Jane Short as Sarries held on. "I was happy and proud at the effort," said the forwards coach, Alex Sanderson. "Wasps have some dangerous players and they're a good side, so to go there and win by any margin is brilliant. I think we were in control for the middle period, quite dominant, and the game plan worked. With the conditions and the ball being slippy, we wanted to play in the right areas and put pressure on their kickers and make them make mistakes in their own half, which we did. Then, for a period at the end, the wheels fell off. I thought with the bonus point 24-7 up, smoking a cigar, we were going to be all right. Then it suddenly could have gone either way towards the death. We slipped off a few tackles, we got a bit tight in our defence, and our set piece didn't function to its normal level. There are a lot of things that need to be fixed, but we don't need to fix. What we don't need to fix is our work rate and energy. The lads kept on going until the end, and if you've got that, everything comes easier." Saracens continue the LV Cup campaign at home to Scarlets on Saturday at 3 p.m.
Okay, a little bit of football now. We don't have results because the matches haven't been played yet. Enfield 1893, by the time you listen to this, were set to launch their bid for FA Vars glory by entertaining Norwich United at Goldstown Road in the second round of the competition on Saturday the 16th. The E's have been handed a bye through to this stage on the back of their impressive results in the Vase last season, where they made it through to round 5 before eventually being beaten by Amtil Town. Meanwhile, Cock Fosters will also have been in action in the FA Vase on Saturday the 16th when they make the trip to Great Wakering Rovers. The Reds remain mid-table in the Spartan Premier Division after suffering a 2-1 defeat at St Margaret's-Bury over last weekend. Enfield Ignatians had to console themselves with a losing bonus point after they were beaten 23-18 against second-place Saffron Walden in London 2 North East. Coach Emil Hertz said, "I thought we gave the opposition too much rope in the opening 12 minutes and we missed too many tackles and consequently we trailed 14-3. However, we've done really well not to concede a try for the remaining 68 minutes."
And now back to the news. Fish will be culled in the streams of lush woodlands in the north of the borough after a government body decreed that a non-native species living in waterways must be eradicated. The Environment Agency will be pouring the fish poison rotenone into the Wildwood Estate Lake and Cuffley Brook in a bid to wipe out the topmouth gudgeon fish, which they have called the most potentially damaging non-native fish species in Western Europe. The poison, which the agency insists is harmless to humans, will kill all the fish, and officers will then restock the waters with only native species. But environmental campaigner Jill Simpson, who runs the village whole food store in Forty Hall, is concerned that the focus on the extermination of fish will be at the detriment of the overall biodiversity of the waterways around Enfield. Speaking to the Advertiser before the planned cull on Monday, she said, "These fish are very, very small, and they're a great food source for kingfishers." She's worried that the kingfisher's main source of food will be cut off. "It looks as if this course of action is protecting recreational fishing over and above our biodiversity," she added. "Sometimes we have to look at the good non-native species do, for example the zebra mussel. It is dangerous to native species, but in certain environments it cleans the water." Despite the nature lovers' concerns, the Environment Agency insists it has no choice. A spokeswoman said, "It is very sad for us to have to kill native fish, along with the topmouth gudgeon, but we have to protect the long-term future of our native species. Topmouth gudgeon are extremely difficult to get rid of by other means. Using nets to catch them, electric fishing, or transferring other fish out of the brook before the culling takes place is too risky, as topmouth fry, which can be the size of an eyelash, can be hidden away in the mouths and gills of other fish and get accidentally transferred to other waters. Culling all the fish is the only real guarantee that the topmouth gudgeon can be removed completely. While it was a tough decision to make, we believe this is the right thing to do." The agency also stressed that fish owners should never tip unwanted pet fish into waterways, as it can wreak havoc on natural habitats.
Very serious situation. Now, there's to be a Christmas market on Saturday the 16th of November at St Andrew's Parish Centre, Enfield, near the Market Square, from 10:30 to 3 p.m. So get into the Christmas spirit with our heartwarming traditional Christmas experiences, a variety of stalls offering festive gifts, refreshments and carols. There is something for everyone. And if you need more information, call on 020 8366 9674. That's 020 8366 9674. There is also a similar event going to happen in Southgate area. Vic Smith Beds in Southgate, together with the Southgate Chamber of Trade, are making sure this year everyone in Southgate has a great Christmas. The Southgate Chamber of Trade, which we are proud to be part of, are putting on a Christmas meal for 70 senior citizens. Southgate College has fantastically stepped in and are supplying catering and serving in the Southgate Club. Date has yet to be confirmed. On Friday, the 22nd of November, Christmas kicks off in Southgate. Christmas carols on the roundabout, turning on the Christmas lights, as well as Santa's real reindeer, and much, much more. And on Saturday, the 23rd, the reindeer are back, along with horse and carriage rides, stalls, interactive stalls from Southgate College, Have a go. Come and join us. You take part.
This is another Christmas thing, a pantomime. The Millfield Theatre pantomime is infamous for its fabulous tunes, stunning dancing, spectacular costumes, glamorous sparkle and opportunities to join in. It's been entertaining audiences aged 3 to 103 for the past 25 years, and this Christmas is no exception. This year the theatre plays host to Dick Whittington and his trusty cat, and there's only 1 month to go until the festive fun begins. London's streets of gold are calling, and with his faithful acrobatic cat by his side, Dick goes searching for his fortune in the big smoke. But there to cheer Dick on along his journey, and boo at King Rat and ah at the object of Dick's affections, the beautiful Alice, Christmas just isn't Christmas without Millfield Theatre's panto. Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, no, it isn't.
It isn't? That was very feeble, everybody. We'll have one more go. Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, no, it isn't. A business owner has been left devastated after a fire gutted his company's 2 industrial units and destroyed its stock. Kari Perifimu, 47, who runs Soprano, a men's fashion accessories supplier, said the fire could not have happened at a worse time. About 100 firefighters tackled the blaze in Advent Way, Upper Edmonton, at approximately 3 a.m. on Thursday. The fire was under control by 8 a.m., but Mr. Perifimu's property had already been destroyed. He said, "It's a total loss. It's just a shell here now. We've lost our building and our stock. To get up in the middle of the night for this is just terrible. This happened at the worst time of the year for us. We were really busy, we had orders in hand, and were doing well." Mr. Perifimu, who lives in Oakwood, Enfield, and has run the business for 22 years, said, "When the fire brigade arrived, they were brilliant, but the fire was well underway and had spread into our units," he said. "We're having to tell customers we can't fulfill orders. I'm totally out of action." Mr. Perifimu said he's shipping stock from manufacturers as quickly as possible to fulfill orders. 2 furniture businesses were also affected by the fire and face uncertain futures due to structural damage. At the time of going to press, engineers at the scene were testing the building's safety. There were no injuries. The cause of the fire is under investigation.
And now an opinion piece from Vicky Pite. As winter approaches, the hot political topic of energy costs will inflame millions of consumers. Although for some the choices between heating and eating, most families exist at budgetary margins where Mr. Micawber's principle holds true. Charles Dickens's character said, "Annual income £20, annual expenditure £20 naught and 6, result misery." Increasing fuel bills means more misery for millions, and any interventions that can be made should be. If you suggest that cheap energy risks extravagance, remember that affluence, not poverty, feeds climate change. Keeping energy prices down to help the lowest paid will not increase carbon dioxide emissions. Actually, putting a little more disposable income in the hands of the least well-off would do more to stimulate sustainable growth in GDP than inflating house prices and rewarding bankers and chief executives. Keeping energy bills manageable could achieve a double whammy. So, what can be done? The government's answer is to make switching easier. I've tried. Firstly, involuntarily, as my ethical energy provider was swallowed up by a company which, through a series of aggressive takeovers, became part of the Big Six monopoly. My second attempt achieved savings in the first year, followed by a ludicrous price rise once the introductory offer expired. This year, I signed up to the Big London Energy Switch. Enfield is one of 23 councils London-wide, to participate in this collective action to keep costs low by auctioning a mega contract to the cheapest energy provider. The next auction is on Tuesday, and for more information visit www.biglondonenergyswitch.org.uk. I'm optimistic that being one of thousands of voices will exert downward pressure on prices. Better still, Enfield Council, in partnership with British Gas, is currently making thousands of council homes energy efficient, not only reducing bills for the poorest households, but also creating local apprenticeships and jobs. That's what I call sustainable intervention.
Waiting time figures released yesterday for patients using emergency services have raised fears that units in Enfield and Barnet will be stretched to breaking point this winter. A report on the A&E services by the London Assembly's Health Committee has found that the Barnet and Chase Farm NHS Hospitals Trust missed its target of treating 95% of A&E patients within 4 hours in 45 weeks out of 52 during the past 12 months. The Trust, which administers Chase Farm Hospital in the Ridgeway Enfield and Barnet Hospital in Wellhouse Lane, High Barnet, was the 5th worst performing in London, treating 91% of patients within 4 hours on average. North Middlesex University Hospital in Stirling Way, Edmonton fared better, ranking 12th out of 22, missing the target during 29 weeks and treating on average of 94% of A&E patients within 4 hours. The figures have increased fears of an emergency crisis at North Middlesex and Barnet after the A&E unit at Chase Farm shuts next month. Kieran McGregor of Save Chase Farm Hospital campaign said, "Barnet and Chase Farm is widely missing A&E targets at a time when it is closing one of its facilities. Their argument that by closing one A&E it will increase capacity across other sites is absolutely ludicrous. Back in 2008 we said that the population growth would mean increased demand, and our worst fears have come true. They have to keep the Chase Farm A&E open, but they're not going to, and open and go back to the drawing board." Under the BE8 clinical strategy, maternity and inpatient paediatric services will move from Chase Farm next Wednesday, and the A&E department will shut on December the 9th.
A group of schoolchildren took part in a last post ceremony alongside the Duke of Edinburgh at the Menin Gate in Ypres. Among the 60-strong group were pupils from Enfield County School and Broomfield School, who paid tribute to those who lost their lives in the First World War. The schoolchildren travelled to Belgium to collect sacred soil from the battlefields of Flanders, to be brought back to the UK to create a memorial garden at the Guards Museum in London as part of the Flanders Fields Memorial Garden project. On Monday, in the presence of the Duke of Edinburgh, they carried sandbags full of the soil to the Menin Gate War Memorial alongside British and Belgian soldiers. The band of the Coldstream Guards, as well as soldiers and officers of the 7 regiments of the British Guards and a gun crew of the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery, also took part in the ceremony.
Primary school pupils will be giving a helping hand to the community and a children's charity when they mark Mitzvah Day on Friday the 15th, which is just past when you hear this. Youngsters from Wolfson Hillel Primary School in Southgate will be making cards and painting pictures for a children's cancer charity, as well as writing letters to members of the armed forces. Others will be helping in the garden of the school in Chase Road, planting bulbs for elderly people. Younger students will receive a helping hand with their reading from older pupils. All of the pupils will wear green, the colour of the campaign, across the world, and will bring a packet of non-perishable food with them to send to either a homeless shelter or gift a charity encouraging volunteering in the community. Money raised on the day will be sent to a children's charity. Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows has been invited to visit the school. "This is a day for children to think of others," said head teacher Kirsten Jowett. "By performing mitzvot, which means good deeds, the children understand how important it is to do something special, not just giving money, but doing something that is meaningful. Our school has a wonderful record of raising hundreds of pounds for many different charities, but Mitzvah Day is something the children look forward to as a way of giving in different ways."
A pensioners' pressure group is claiming a victory against the use of costly premium rate phone lines by GP surgeries in Enfield. The Enfield Over 50s Forum has had a long-running campaign against practices using a pricey 0844 number for which patients are charged up to 44p a minute while booking an appointment or requesting test results. Monty Meth, the Forum's life president, paid tribute to members who had been lobbying up to 13 practices to stop using the numbers. He said, "It has taken us 6 years to stop those GP practices that were in effect charging patients to make an appointment, which is in clear breach of the NHS principles, which say health services should be universally available and free at the point of contact." Last week it was reported that government departments have also been profiteering from premium rate telephone numbers, including the Department for Work and Pensions and HMRC. MPs from the Public Accounts Committee criticised the use of the numbers, saying taxpayers were being ripped off.
A number of suspected drugs dealers in the borough were arrested during an early morning police raid. More than 200 officers, detectives and the Enfield Gangs unit gathered in the early hours of Thursday morning to execute the operation, which took place after 4 months of detailed intelligence and planning. As the tension became palpable, van and car doors were closed almost silently to ensure the cover wasn't blown. However, all silence was to be shattered as the gang's unit smashed down the doors to simultaneously arrest the subject at addresses across Enfield. Next-door neighbours were less than impressed with the impromptu and unwanted wake-up call at 5 a.m, but officers said it was critical the operation was carried out at this time. In some instances, a sniffer dog was called upon. By far the most excited of all involved the animal frantically perused the house in search of drugs. Once found, the sniffer looked in eager anticipation as its handler, desperate for its tennis ball reward. By 7:30 a.m, 2.5 hours after starting, 15 people had been arrested on suspicion of the supply of drugs, along with 3 people arrested for suspicion of possession of drugs. DCI Paul Healy said he was ecstatic with the outcome of his team's work and feels they could not have wished for a better result. He added, "This operation is the culmination of a sustained period of activity against known gang nominals by the Enfield Gangs unit. We have arrested individuals who pose a risk to the community and believe that they could commit crime with impunity." Enfield Police are committed to reducing gang-related criminality within the borough by targeting those who continue to be involved in gangs and refuse offers of support and diversion that are readily available. In a bid to lower the gang levels, Mr. Healy urged those who are part of a gang to take up a project which keeps members away from trouble. He said, "We have a number of diversion projects to divert people away from gangs and keep them on the straight and narrow. If they don't, then we look at an enforcement stage, which is what we have done here. We give people the opportunity to walk away from gangs. If everyone has any information about gang crime or those involved, you could call Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111.
Thief stole a poppy appeal charity collection box from a butcher's shop. The man entered Meat Inn Butchers in North Mile, Edmonton on Monday, November the 4th, and cut the ribbon attached to the box on the counter just after 11:35 a.m. He stole the collection before leaving the shop. No arrest had been made, and police want to identify this man in a CCTV picture. But anyone with information should contact the police.
An Enfield teenager has been named Young Person of the Year at an awards night after giving up his free time to coach under-13s football. Casey Humphreys, 18, has helped set up projects across the borough for the last 8 years, as well as coaching a junior football team set up by Enfield Island Youth and Community Trust. The prize was presented to Mr. Humphreys of Burton Drive, Enfield, at the Creating Places Awards hosted by Housing Association London and Quadrant, known as L&Q. Mr. Humphreys was presented with his award at the London Millennium Hotel in Mayfair by actor and musician Martin Kemp. L&Q Chief Executive David Montague said, "Casey is a great role model in every sense. Not only has he been able to improve the lives of young people in his area, he's also gained a Football Association Level 1 coaching qualification and undertaken youth worker training to become a young leader. He did all of this in his spare time while he studied at college, and he now has even gained a scholarship to Northampton University. We need more young people like Casey in our communities. He truly is a deserving winner of the Young Person of the Year award."
A foodie has slammed a revamped supermarket run by an ethical shopping chain for failing to provide any fresh local produce. The new-look cooperative store in Lancaster Road, Enfield, reopened last Thursday following a £320,000 facelift after a rat infestation during the summer. The shop was closed for 4 months, and store manager Santhosh Subramaniam had pledged the supermarket would become a haven for food lovers. The store will be packed with great value quality products and modern and interesting meal ideas that, while quick and easy to put together, are sure to impress, he said, before the reopening. However, despite the fact that their rivals down the road at Budgeon's stock fresh organic produce from the market garden at Forty Hall, the cooperative does not provide locally sourced produce. Food blogger Anna Carr said she was disappointed that a company that prides itself on ethical and fair trade values had ignored the fantastic produce lying on the doorstep. She told the Advertiser, "I'm really annoyed. They did a marketing campaign that said people in Enfield really care about their food. They made it sound like it was about quality produce and proper cooking, but when I walked in the doors last week, I saw a bank of microwave hamburgers and hot dogs." Ms. Carr was particularly frustrated that the store had so little local produce when there is a thriving organic garden a mile from the shop. "I find it particularly disappointing because the co-op have such high moral ideals and they are selling processed food," added Ms. Carr. A cooperative spokeswoman confirmed they do not stock local produce, but that anyone interested in supplying the store could contact the company.
Prayers have been answered at a church as it's set to gain more than £9,000 from a grant to improve facilities. The Southgate Methodist Church in the Bourne will have much needed renovation to its roof and will be able to provide more activities for its community. The benefit comes from Community Project Fund BIFA Awards and will grant £9,510 to the Southgate Church to ensure a dry winter.
Well, we've reached the end of our programme for this week, so thank you for listening. And from the team of Audrey, Elizabeth, Katherine and myself, Malcolm, with Dave on the controls, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.
Now, lastly, please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. And don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper. And the Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.